everybody. Welcome to the December 1st, 2025 meeting of the, December 11th, 2025 meeting of the Whitman Economic Development Committee. First, announce the meeting is being recorded for WHCA to post on YouTube. And for the sake of the minutes after the fact, we're going to start with a roll call this time. So, Justin Evans, present. Brittany Cavallo.
Present.
Heidi Hausmer.
Present.
Adam Somerville.
Present.
Richard Bloss.
Present.
Steve Egan. Present. And John Galvin.
Present.
Gang's all here. And we're joined by Nick Giaquinto from the Old Colony Planning Council today.
Hi, everyone.
There.
First item to take care of is approving the meeting minutes from November 20th, 2025. Did everybody have a chance to review those?
Yeah, move to approve.
All right, do the second.
I'll second.
I just saw Situate was spelled wrong down the bottom of.
Oh, was
I
it?
didn't catch that.
I think so. I fixed it on mine. I think.
Find it.
If we're gonna copy their stuff, we should at least spell it right.
I know, right?
True
The
story.
mission statement was good though.
It is, yeah, you're right. Somewhere right in the middle.
No, down here.
Bottom of that
Oh,
first
in the
page.
middle. Okay.
There you are.
Definitely.
You were correct. All right, I fixed that. So, with that one change, motion on the floor to approve. Still good?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep. Stevie abstain.
I wasn't here, so.
You spelled Situate wrong.
Yeah, I gotta blame it on you because you were here.
Follow that one. Send those in. All right. So I guess the next item is voting on the Economic Development Committee mission. I just pasted the Hanson mission into the agenda. Something we discussed last time. Did anybody consider any changes to it, or are you okay with? I'll read it out.
Maybe read it out loud for the record.
Yeah. So the mission of the Economic Development Committee is to enhance the existing business community, attract new businesses, attract new customers, and encourage redevelopment and new development as may be advisable in order to increase the town's property tax revenues, income, job base, and overall economic health.
So you said it. Attract new businesses, but it says attract new business.
Oh, attract new business. I read.
Do we want to have businesses or business?
I think
it's the same, isn't
It's
it?
the same, isn't it?
Same.
It means
yeah.
the same.
Means the same.
Yeah, I don't think there's
Just-
a difference.
I was
But
reading
it's
it
a
and I'm
good
like,
question. Yeah, I read it.
you read it and I said, yeah. Leave it as business.
Yeah, because we want to attract business to the town. So
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't think.
Or businesses. We want multiple businesses.
I know that.
Do we flip flop a couple of things so it's not the same as Hanson?
Nah,
It's
I don't think they'll
People
complain.
confuse us enough anyway.
fine, because I think Hanson lifted and loaded it.
Probably.
We list increased property tax revenues. So it almost seems like that's our primary mission. I'd rather that be at the end and as a result of all the other things rather than be what looked like might be the primary mission of this
Okay.
group.
Increase income, job base, overall economic health, and town property tax revenues.
Yes.
I like that.
So, hold on,
Maybe it does, yeah.
Justin. Wouldn't it say to increase the to increase the income, job base, overall economic health, and town's property tax revenues? Or do you want town in the beginning of that?
So I think I moved town to the end for town's property tax revenues, but I think we put town. The town's income, job base, overall economic health, and property tax values.
Sure.
Either way, it is.
And property towns. Okay.
Yeah, and property
And
tax
property tax
revenues.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there we go. We changed it from what? From
Job
here.
base, overall
Now it's our own.
health, and property tax values. Now that we're changing it, business or businesses.
What did they have?
They-
We'll use
They
the
have
other.
business community, attract new business. I think we can leave it that way. Singular for both. All right. So with those changes.
You want to read it again?
Sure. The mission of the Economic Development Committee is to enhance the existing business community, attract new business, attract new customers, and encourage redevelopment and new development as may be advisable in order to increase the town's income, job base, overall economic health, and property tax values. Property tax revenues.
Like it.
All right. Motion to approve. Somebody?
I'll motion.
Brittany?
I'll second it.
Adam, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. All right, the main event. Nick. So we have Nick Giaquinto from the Old Colony Planning Council. He's the Senior Economic Development Planner, I believe.
That's me. Got some handouts for you.
And
Something to look at.
he's here to talk about the downtown revitalization strategy, a earmark we got from the state as, I think, a COVID recovery related grant.
Yeah.
That's easier for you.
Yeah, gotcha.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me here.
Of course. Yeah, Nick, floor is
Thank you for
yours.
coming.
All right. Yeah, so I'll just introduce myself real quickly. So I'm Nick Giaquinto. I'm the Senior Economic Development Planner at Old Colony Planning Council. I've been there for about 2.5 years now. Before that, I was spent 4 years with Mass Development. I ran a economic development accelerator program, specifically for gateway cities across the state. So Brockton, Fall River, Lowell, Springfield, those types of cities. I did that for about 4 years, and before that, I was chief of staff to Brockton Mayor Bill Carpenter for some time. So I was with him for 6 years. And so we're doing from OCPC. We've done a lot lately. So under the leadership of Mary Waldron, our executive director, so we've gone from like 15 staff members to 27, I believe. So we've almost doubled the amount of staff we have, and that's because we've been very successful with a lot of projects that we've been pursuing. So we're trying to work with as many towns as we can, especially towns that we haven't done a lot with in the past. So we've nearly doubled the size of our staff, and we're doing a lot. And economic development is at the forefront of what we're doing. So economic development has a heightened focus at OCPC, and we're trying to do more than we ever have. So we're doing a lot with Whitman. Not just the downtown project. I know Jason DeRoche, you guys are doing the housing production plan, the open space, right? And
Open space plan. Yeah, housing production's in the works now, and
yep,
just completed. I know, working a 40R.
40R district.
as
Yep.
well, yeah.
And so we're doing a lot, and you guys have been great to work with. We have a great working relationship with the town, Mary Beth, Kathy, Justin, and the board. And we got a lot of good things going on. So I guess I'll just start by saying, so we learned about the $33,000 earmark that the town had from the 2022 COVID recovery legislation. And, in talking with the town, we said, hey, here's a great opportunity for us to work with the town on some stuff that's directly within our wheelhouse. And $33,000 isn't a ton of money for a project, but it's certainly more than enough to get you guys something, or get the town something something that's meaningful, and develop strategies that you guys can run with for the next few years and use to chase projects and that sort of thing. So this particular project, the earmark language is as they usually are. It's very broad. I think it referenced like downtown improvements, which essentially to us is an economic development strategy, downtown revitalization, right? I think that's kind of how we pitch this, the downtown revitalization strategy. And what this project looks like, it's kind of anchored or pillared with 3 different things. So what we usually do, and perhaps the most important piece, is existing conditions assessment. So we look at the existing conditions of the infrastructure, maybe some of the roadways, some development sites that are queued for redevelopment or primed for development, and we look at data. So we've done a data analysis to look at demographics and how they've changed over 10 years, I think was the window we looked at. And then what we do is we come up with a series of recommendations for strategies, different sites that you can focus on for redevelopment or development, some other opportunities that the community or the focus area might have. So the target area we're looking at is, it's in the packet, you'll see it. So it essentially runs from the 4-way, where Washington intersects with, I believe it's still Temple over there, right? A little bit past towards the fire station, and then all the way toward the end, if you're going east, down South Ave, to where the vacant elementary school is. So, and these boundaries reflect, so at the time when the South Coast Rail was doing all their planning, they kind of mapped out boundaries for downtowns in each of these areas. So we kind of used that as a foundation, but dragged it out a little bit more because it encapsulates some properties close to the commuter rail that we wanted to include. And just because we have a refined study area, I know that the train station isn't technically in the area, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about it and propose some things with respect to that. So,
Yeah, I just want to say, I mean, across the street from the train station is probably one of the most development
oh yeah,
keen properties, and,
Yeah.
and down Pond Street too. So
sure. And so simple, but simplifying a lot. In a nutshell, this project is, it's an existing conditions assessment and to go over assets, and then we'll develop a series of recommendations and strategies for economic prosperity that include infrastructure enhancements and increased consumer spending in the downtown. So, additionally, streetscape infrastructure. And we'll go over this because I'm going to go through like a list of strengths and attributes that the downtown has. Downtown is actually very unique. So I'll go over a list of that, but you guys have a very walkable mixed-use district, and it's prime for a lot of great stuff. So I'll jump into attributes. I think I have a slide on that, the third page, I think. So within the target area, you guys have like 108 acres with about 265 parcels. What's good about it is this downtown is, out of all of the downtowns that have an MBTA commuter rail station, and particularly in Plymouth County, you guys have the highest density. You have a density of 2.5 parcels per acre. So that's actually more dense, believe it or not, than downtown Brockton. But the reason for that is because downtown Brockton they have larger parcels. There's a lot of surface parking lots and that sort of thing. But that sort of thing is great. So, and that's usually measured by, I think, a half-mile radius from the town. So for a town of this size, the downtown has a great level of density for redevelopment, for development, and consumers. And despite the density, the average lot size is still something like 0.41 acres. So many parcels still large enough to be redeveloped at a meaningful scale. And all that makes up a very walkable mixed-use business district. So you have your two corridors, right? You have Washington Street and you have South Ave, and it's Route 27, right? So you have a lot of people like myself. I work in my offices in Brockton. You have a lot of people coming down Route 27 as a cut-through to get to jobs in Brockton or Route 18 or what have you. But there's a lot of potential, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but as part of the report. So far, I think we're about most of the way through the existing conditions assessment and looking at some traffic counters. There's a lot of cars that come through here. So there's a lot, like myself, I work in Brockton. I come in, I stop at Restoration. On my way back, I'll stop at Four Seasons to get some Thai food. But there's a lot of great opportunity to capture people coming in and out of the downtown that you can capture. So a lot of people cut through, but as infrastructure is improved and more residents move into the downtown, there's more of an opportunity to capture some of that spending. And on all sides of the downtown and the target, you have your residential neighborhoods. So people can with enhanced streetscape infrastructure. People, residents who live around the downtown, they're very close. They can walk out of their homes and walk down here and grab a bite or whatever it is they want to do. With enhanced streetscape infrastructure, this will make that even more seamless. There's different things you can do to improve the infrastructure, make it more attractive and appealing. It's going to entice people to come out of their homes and walk down the street and patron a local business and spend money. And often overlooked, the downtown is I think completely serviced by sewer.
Yep.
And you guys have had sewer for a while, so it's like a lot of towns would kill to have that, right? And a community like Hanson, they're kind of constrained by on-site disposal systems, preventing businesses from expanding, or they want to change something, they have to navigate the constraints of on-site disposal, on-site septic. But that's also a great thing, right? And you have a fairly strong diversity of businesses within the area. So you have few vacancies. I think I count about a dozen food establishments. Not all places you go to sit down and eat, but you have bakeries, you have a couple places to eat, and a slew of convenience shops too for the surrounding neighborhoods. And obviously the commuter rail, which is I think just about less than 1 mile from the downtown core. It's got sufficient capacity for additional ridership, so the ability to accommodate new residents, not just for people who could park there. So the parking lot, I think it has like something like 40, somewhere between 40 to 50% of the lot that's not used. So you have, if you have more residents moving into the area, there's the ability for the train station, not just the lot, but the train itself to accommodate additional ridership. And you have your recreational assets too. You have Whitman Town Park. So you kind of have like a mix of everything here. You have a good mix of businesses, land use, you have mixed use, you have residential, and you have something like 25 standalone commercial properties. You have recreational assets, and the train station. And like I said, Route 27 is sort of an east-west connection to jobs in Route 18 and the Route 24 corridor, and is certainly a cut-through to capture consumers. And just to go over the residential neighborhoods on all sides again, like, the way the grid of streets is, they're short blocks and it's a legible grid. So it's very easy to navigate, in whether you're driving or walking, as it's very much a walkable district. It's just very easy. Yeah, I mean, if the town focuses on some things for streetscape improvements or visual enhancements, it's going to entice people to come out of their neighborhoods to spend more time downtown. I think that's a huge asset.
Nick, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So we have all these great attributes. With all these, why do we still have vacancies on Washington Street?
Sure, it's a good question. I mean, I would guess that there's a couple reasons. It could be, it could be the lease. I don't know how much people are asking for leases down here nowadays. I haven't done too much work on that, but
we've got big buildings downtown that are empty, the old bank buildings and things that could be allotted, but nobody's interested in it. At least it doesn't appear to be that way.
Sure. Well, I think one of the things we can do is, as I was just about to get into, some of the recent investments the town has done. So you guys are already focusing on a lot of stuff.
I can just hit on that topic. Obviously, I'm in that business, but the bank to me is a prime opportunity. But it's part of it is the not necessarily Whitman, it's the environment and it's interest rates. And a lot of guys are looking at projects like that, like us in this town and other towns, and it's in kind of pause mode because when I did 629 Washington Street across the street, a similar property, it's a bank property, and but interest rates were at 3.5% to 4%, made that a very viable project from what you can generate from a rent point of view. Moving forward now, we evaluated a project on the bank property from that kind of concept, and the profit's gone. When you're at 7% on a mortgage now, and what you can generate, it can only go so high in Whitman as opposed to Weymouth or Braintree for rents. It just wasn't there. Santander doesn't want to come down to that price either. It's part of the problem. But I think part of why you're seeing things like that sit these last couple of years is mostly because of where those rates are at.
We've never had interest, with the exception of those couple of years, in our entire lifetimes, we've never seen interest rates at 3 or 3.5%. So, are we just spoiled? Are contractors or developers just spoiled? But you just said that it just doesn't make sense.
I don't think it needs to get to 3.5%. I think that you're going to find that if we see rates move enough that they're in the 5.5 to 6 range, you're going to see guys pulling the trigger. So I think now your profit margins are back into a reasonable range.
To Steve's point, we have inflation that's also added on top of that. So while we were sitting at 6% 10 years ago, the cost to build was so significantly lower. So now you have interest rates that are higher, coupled with the cost of inflation to build. That profit just gets eaten away.
Yeah.
How long has that building been vacant?
Oh, it's 3 years now, probably.
Oh, that long, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I realize it was that long.
I think it's been a meeting before, but the town also reached out with like hey, if you want to donate the property, get the tax rate. Like Santander Senior Center or something. Happy.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's like,
It's been for sale that long. They haven't dropped the price $1.
Yeah.
I looked at it. The guy who's building the building next to it looked at it.
There's a lot of us that have looked at it.
It's an odd configuration lot, and with the rates and their high price, it just doesn't make any sense.
Have they raised the price over the 3 years?
No.
Because with the way real estate has gone up, it's pretty much gone up in value. I don't know if maybe it's just residential that's gone up, but with the way property values have gone up, if they didn't raise it in 3 years, then it would be cheap.
They're at $1.5 million. From my point of view, is that's probably a $700,000 property with where rents at today. Because someone's not going to renovate the building; they're going to take it down and do something else there.
They'll take it down.
Yeah. So it's the value of the lot, and I don't see that it's that million anywhere near that $1.5 million.
I think the state.
And I think they would come down if someone for the right deal a little bit. But I've had multiple conversations with, as I know, many other builders have too. But they just, you're not dealing with a person that owns it. You're dealing with a company that owns it, and most of the people in the public don't even know they own it.
It's,
So
it's their balance sheet. They don't care. It's whatever their balance sheet is at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a pattern. Some of these larger companies, and they just it's pretty difficult to get them to turn over property. And
But overall, I think, and I'll let you get back to your position.
Yeah.
I think Whitman Center, compared to East Bridgewater, Abington, Rockland, when you drive around, is much more vibrant and a lot.
We have a lot.
Less vacancy rate here than we do in some of these other towns. So
yeah, I think the occupancy rate, looking at the data, and we'll get into this, but it's like 94%, which is pretty good for a target area, really good. But good segue to some of the recent investments. You guys are already doing a lot of good stuff. I'm just looking around. I see, first, I'm not a completely big deal, but I saw a lot of the resurfacing and roadway improvements. That's pretty big. I mean, that's always a great thing. It's a Davis Whitman Park court. I think all those new yeah.
Leverage some National Grid
Oh, good.
pipeline projects as well, and yeah, like
Yeah,
get them in first. Yeah,
right.
work with them on the paving.
And I saw the two mixed-use projects. 604 Washington and what's the other one? 199 South Ave.
Yeah.
So those must have popped recently. I been a while since
It's been in development. That's been in development for a bit, and yeah,
Okay.
kind of went quick.
Then I saw upper level units over on 527 Washington. It's
They're
funny. I was
nice.
looking at that initially. I came by one day. This whole second
Yeah.
story on it.
Surprising.
I never noticed it either until I was going into Miller's and I went,
The scaffolding didn't get you?
is this new?
Well, yeah, it was funny because I think I come through here all the time, and I was on Google Street View looking, just combing through the target area, and I'm like, that isn't like that. It was kind of a recent shot, and I drove by and I'm like, oh look, additional story.
Well, the plan
Well,
was
and
it would look like it had always been there.
It does. I tell
Doing
you,
a good job.
didn't.
So that is
That's
probably
been there a while,
the
I'm like,
biggest
really?
But making you guys, same thing.
Right,
Make
right,
it look like
just
it belongs.
Yeah.
So yeah, Steve brings up a good point. Probably the biggest development opportunity we have in the near term is the TIPS project. So
Yeah.
the town is
Oh, yeah.
pursuing with OCPC.
Yep.
A roughly $15 million multimodal transportation project from Commercial Street up to the top of South Ave at 58 to totally redesign that, reconfigure a few of the intersections that are pretty dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the number of accidents we have right outside of the barber shop. And that would just be, an incredible improvement.
Is that funded?
It's not funded yet. We've been the
Chipping
town has
away
come up
at
with
it.
about 10% for the design costs,
Design, yeah.
design engineering costs, and we're maybe a little behind, but on track to hit that if we get the green light.
Will we lose it if it takes longer than they want?
I think at this point we've got almost enough in capital stabilization where if they say go, we can go quick.
All right.
Oh, good.
We're right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way that the TIP process kind of works, they sort of have rounds. So if a community has a project in the TIP but doesn't quite have the funds at the time,
Yeah, but we're
pushed
what,
aside.
4 years into it now? 3 years into it anyway.
We've been funding it for about 3 years.
Yeah, no, it looks like great chance for that to happen.
And we also, it doesn't hurt that on it's the JTC, we've got the chair and the vice chair,
Yeah.
are Whitman residents. So the
Right.
the review committee is
Yeah, right.
in our favor right now.
Continuing on that, Steve, your project on Washington Street, obviously, and then I know there was the other one next to the fire station, 30 Temple. My point is with these, this is a lot of stuff. You can leverage all this stuff, and if the town, a lot of towns don't have capacity to pursue grants 24/7, right? But these are all things you can leverage in grant applications to pay for enhanced infrastructure, site readiness, or whatever it is you're looking for. Which is why we worked with you guys on chasing a master plan. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. One stop this year. It's been kind of weird. Not a lot of
Leverage for
projects.
grants for what?
Mostly infrastructure. So the MassWorks infrastructure program pays for a whole slew of different infrastructure improvements, streetscape stuff, sidewalks, sewer different types of utility infrastructure, roadway improvements. They do a whole bunch of stuff. And then there's things like if you have a site that's primed for development, you can pay money to have the site cleaned up or decontaminated, or design site readiness, that type of thing. There's a whole bunch of different programs. There's a program called Mass Downtown Initiative, which pays for things like wayfinding, placemaking, beautification stuff like that. But I think the state's one-stop program has, I think, like 13 or 14 different grant programs, and these are the types of investments you can leverage to capture more funding. So if we were putting in a grant application today to, let's say improve sidewalks and do some placemaking in the downtown, maybe some street lamps or something like that, or even like maybe conduit for streetlights underneath the ground, there'd be Mass Works project. There'd be money you can pursue for that. I mean, the town would have to contribute a portion of the funding through a match, but still, Mass Works is a great program that provides, I think, up to.
So is that a Mass Works program, the Four Corners there, where we redid all the sidewalks and cutouts and all of that?
That was not complete streets, but was the.
I think it was Mass Dot.
It was
I think.
Dot.
Yeah, I forget. It might have been complete.
Safe
Streets.
That type of project is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a for economic development. There's a whole bunch of programs that cover essentially anything you'd want in the downtown in terms of economic development. What we're looking at. So in the future, when we're working with you guys on competitive stuff, there's a lot of great things going on here already. Jumping into data, I don't need to comb through all this, but I will. I think I'll tell you off the bat. The best way for us to look at data when we're looking at a target area is to focus on census tracts and census block groups. So downtown Whitman spans portions of 2 census tracts and is best represented by 3 different block groups that align with the physical footprint of a lot of the daily activity patterns. So there's a census map in the packet I have there for you. So the big takeaways for me here, and we can go through some of it, I think our income, which translates to purchasing power, and the dominant age groups, or the fastest growing age groups we see in the area. So for a downtown, the median household income is pretty high. It's just about over 100, which is about the state 100 is about the state average. You don't typically see those numbers in downtown districts as dense as Whitman's. So that's a great thing. It basically means that you got people here who have money to spend at businesses and shops to patron areas in the downtown. The second other thing is the fastest growing age groups are between 20 to 39 and 65 plus. So you got in the 20 to 39 age group, you have young professionals, right, who are likely to go out and spend money on a beer or sit down and have and eat or patron some of the local convenience shops. And then, the 65 plus category, you have folks who are retired and have disposable income to spend. So those are the fastest growing age groups, and I think those are 2 big takeaways for me for the downtown. So you have density, you have a great mix of land use and businesses in the area, and you have two age groups of folks that have the ability to have disposable income and spend money in the area. What else? On that so downtown households generate millions of dollars in income, and they're all within walking distance, supporting strong retail potential. So all these neighborhoods around us, folks that have some money to spend. And then if you use, I didn't get too much into this on the handout, but if you use standard planning multipliers to find out what the retail leakage is, there's a lot of retail leakage. There's a lot, and what I mean by that is there's a lot of money that could be captured in town from people coming in and out. A lot of people go to Hanover, right, which is sort of next door. Hanover's got a lot of retail, right? We know a lot of plazas, a lot of shop, Hanover Crossing, right? And in Brockton, right? There's a lot there. So as people come in and out, as we're looking to bring new businesses in, more potential. There's a lot of potential to capture spending that goes elsewhere right now. Households, they were from, the data I should have mentioned this up front. So the data we look at U.S. Census data, 5-year ACS estimates, which are usually the best for this type of work. So we look at 2013, 2018, and 2023, which was the most recent. So we use that. So some of these comparisons, when we give one figure to another, it's between 2013 and 2023, some of the data. So it's a little age, but I think the census is probably coming out with 2024 data pretty soon. No surprise, the average family size edged down from 2.61 to 2.5. That's largely driven by national trends. Households have gone up from 2,300 to around 2,600. And the number of families living downtown climbed 18%, 1,500 to around 1,800. And the population in the downtown, over 10 years, so from 2013 to 2023, we've gone from 3,785 to 5,337. And it's the easternmost block group, the one that includes, I believe, closest to the train station, where the vacant elementary school is over there. So that block group has grown 80% in 10 years, so that's pretty significant. Housing and occupancy, so rental apartments seem to dominate. So the number of units grew from 882 in 2013 to over 1,000 in 2023. Now we've mentioned occupancy. Occupancy is exceptionally strong at 94%, which seems to signal sustained demand and stability.
Just on that, when did the Bostonian shoe lofts open? Is that surge in that area?
That probably could have been, yeah.
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 Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was a big jump.
That's at least 10 years ago, yeah.
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 I want to say 2012.
Yeah, so yeah, it's probably
2012
part of that change.
Yeah, I
That
think
would
that
be after that 2013 number. Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking at all this stuff, I mean, I know I've kind of already listed some of the attributes, but the data seems to support. I mean, the data seems to support a lot of the opportunity that the attribute. You already have you have lots of great things going on here, and the data seems to support a lot of opportunity. And in the back of this, I just did some just very rough concepts, not to be taken 100% literally, but some ideas about, some things that you could envision, give you some ideas about what sort of things are possible or potential in the area. The area, like someone had mentioned, going a little bit outside the boundaries, closer to the train station. There's a couple commercial properties over there that are prime for vertical development. I know they've been there for a while, been the same way for a long time, but some areas over there that are prime for vertical development or some sort of redevelopment for transit oriented development or housing, mixed use housing. And then there's the Regal Shoe site. I mean, I know we're all pretty familiar with that. So last time I was here a couple weeks ago. So at OCPC, we have an EPA grant, a brownfields grant, an assessment grant to help towns conduct what's called phase 1 and phase 2 assessments to find out. Phase 1 is an assessment of what the past, the historical or industrial past is of a particular property to find out what sort of contamination might exist there. So we've eaten up most of our budget now, but we secured a $500,000 grant from the EPA to conduct those assessments, to do a phase 1 assessment to find out what the history of the property is and what sort of contamination might exist there, and then to do phase 2 assessments, which are essentially testing the soil. So one of the sites that we've been able to target with our brownfields grant is the Regal Shoe site. So I was here a couple weeks ago with our consultant Verdantis, going over the findings from some of that from that site. And basically, one of the takeaways from that particular site was there's about roughly 2.5 acres of space there for development. Most of the contamination that should the town acquire the property, the contamination the town would want to focus on is immediately behind the existing building. So if the contamination behind that existing building, to remediate that, to get it into compliance, it's about $125,000, and then another $392,000 to remediate what's in the soil. So that's just a couple years of grants through a couple state programs, brownfields, a brownfields program, site readiness program. Say 3 years of grants. I mean, that's a total project that's within reach, and so if the town decides to acquire the property, 617,000, somewhere around there, isn't a large price tag to get that property turned over to a developer. And I would say, probably the best approach. I mean, I would think if a developer, see if you could speak to this, but I would think if a developer were to have any sort of interest in this property, the best thing to do would be to consider subdividing the property so that a developer isn't taking on a bunch of contamination, right? The developer is only going to be interested in developing or in purchasing a property where he can develop, or he or she can develop. So there's 2.5 acres there, and if the contamination is addressed behind the existing building, it'd be a really great spot for a mixed-use development of some kind.
So the 2.5 acres is outside of the contamination area, so it is?
Yeah. Well, the 2.5 acres includes the area behind the existing building.
Yeah, where the contamination is.
Yeah.
Where the contamination the town would remediate with the 600 some.
Yeah. So right now you have the frontage is clean.
Yeah.
So the frontage is clean. It's the area behind it that would have to be addressed.
And that would get the remediation to the level that you could develop it residentially?
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes we do it to a commercial level, and then
Yep. Yeah. No, there was just, you can attest to this. You were in the meeting, but I think there was no contamination, no water contamination or anything like that. It was all, I forget the environmental lingo, but it was surface level and not a hard job to remediate.
Yeah, even with a landfill piece there, that was, I think, better than Verdansk expected.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and like I said, if this, should the town decide to acquire it, you could subdivide a clean parcel here, I think, and make it work.
Yeah, I think the select board has a couple of land use questions that we need to revisit early next year. This is one of them. So,
yeah,
if the board in the past has been hesitant to take on contamination risk, I think with the added economic development incentive, we'll definitely give this one a strong consideration.
Sure,
especially with those kind of grants sitting out there for
absolutely, yeah.
Does that falls within the 40R section too, doesn't it?
It's within
it's
within the zone that will be 40R, and it's in the zone that's currently MBTA.
And 40R allows for mixed use too, so that's great.
Yeah.
Would the town acquire it by purchasing what they're asking for on the market, or are they looking to donate it
They're
to
a tax
us?
title, I think.
Yeah, they're well. It's a tax title.
Oh, tax title. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And just to, sorry, go ahead.
No, one question. Sorry. You have the concept drawings for downtown.
Mm-hmm.
One of the concept drawings down here is adding, second stories onto Duval's, those types of places. How are we adding incentives for the current owners to want to redevelop? Are we looking at changing zoning? Are we looking to how are we adding that in? We can only do so much if property owners have current businesses there.
Sure, I think, and Justin, you could weigh in here because you work for the town. You work with the town, but I'd say most of these. I think most of the time, a lot of this just starts with conversations with property owners, right? And I think there's probably. I mean, these are very rough concepts. This doesn't mean we're going to do this,
Of
course.
course.
The zoning is
But if we're looking
the zoning is already there.
the zoning's there.
The
Okay.
town, I forget how long ago we approved the mixed-use overlay district. But when they did the mixed-use overlay district, it was to allow them to go up. So
Okay.
it's commercial first floor, residential for up to 3 more floors above it is allowed by right now. Yeah.
And the idea is, with vertical development as something we look at, it's the more residents there are in the area, the more potential there is for economic impact, right? In spending.
It seems like
Parking is the bigger thing with some of these.
Parking is
some
an
of
issue, yeah.
But how do we incentivize?
We have a ZBA guy here, and he'll tell you, but it's a lot of these lots, have the ability, because if we have town water, town sewer, that we don't have to leave a lot of room for septic systems
Right.
and other things. So we have the ability to make the structure, go up, but with the requirements of we need for parking spaces, a lot of these parcels aren't big enough to really to kind of maximize that. So
Without
then you're
leveling
looking
it
at,
going.
where else do you go? And there's a town parking lot, but it's, you can't park in the wintertime there. So there's things in the parking point of view that I think the town may need to
Right.
You know, there's an article in the Globe today about, you know, Boston's going to eliminate any parking requirements for any residential. You know, you don't need to have one parking per apartment.
Wow.
Which is,
Right.
a lot of towns are adjusting that. People still drive out here, so I still think you do need parking, whether you need as much parking as you think. We just did, we did a presentation at his office early in the year on the Hanson project down near the train station.
Yeah.
And the parking there is what's required under their overlay district, and it is half full.
Right.
And it's, you know, we have 5 businesses there, we have 50 apartments, and that would have been, in my view, better green space areas and not having so much parking. So I just think sometimes the parking requirements need to be revisited. As are we overdoing it?
You know, I mean,
Agreed. All
we've
that.
been very hesitant to give parking relief simply because we're concerned that taking up town parking and the businesses would be up in arms over it. And we just think it's not right. If you're going to build, you should have reasonable parking.
The MBTA proposal, though, when we put that through, it lowered the requirement.
Down to
for
one,
parking spots.
straight one instead of
yeah,
1.3.
a little bit. It lowered it a
it
little
did, yeah.
bit.
And I think
But
that-
that was the state that made us do
Right.
that.
I think that makes sense closer to the train station.
Yes, it was
Right.
a half a mile of the
More
train
one-car
station.
households
Yeah.
with 2.
Even those accessory dwelling, you don't even need a parking
And we need to
spot.
be like kind of looking down the line, too, for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, automated cars, Uber. There's so many things happening that, and we talked about this with like our grandkids. You know, our grandkids may never even drive a car.
Yeah.
You know, because it may get to that point. But so,
If he's a boy, he
George
will.
Jetson,
Yeah.
maybe?
I was just going to say, the Jetsons promised us flying cars already.
but in 10 years, are we going to have less cars per household? In 20 years, we have less cars per household. You know,
Yeah,
and
you got 10
that's
cars
what
right
we-
away.
It's hard to know.
So then are we looking at this in the 10-year plan and talking to ZBA and changing kind of what we're doing in that regard? Are we looking more towards looking to give incentives for building the new construction like 629 or what you did in Hanson, those type of buildings? Or are we looking to really revitalize downtown and give incentives there and use grants and things like that?
So I mean, I think we just voted a mission. It's all of the above, right?
Like, how do we do it,
Redevelopment,
though?
yeah.
Well,
And I was only commenting on
It's
the
only
parking
meeting
because
2, come on.
Right now.
you need, for someone to do it, they need to get enough units out of it that makes it viable.
Right, exactly.
And that's my point on the parking, that if on some of these lots, someone might be able to make it viable but can't make the parking work, so they start looking at some of that stuff to,
Right.
you know, and you don't want it to be a park, you don't want people parking in someone else's property, you don't want, so there is a balance there of how do you make it incentivized enough to get these people to do it, but also make sure that we're not obstructing somebody else.
Correct.
That was the problem with the office, was the
Yeah.
parking. They were trying to utilize too much of the post office.
Yeah.
Up in front of the post office. I'm like, so my father, I buy a unit there, my father has to park at the post office and walk all the way down the street. I'm like, that don't make sense.
Drive by Sovereign Bank or Santander Bank that we were just talking about at tomorrow during the day.
There's people
There's,
parked in there.
there's 25 to 30 cars. That hasn't been open. There's 25 to 30 cars parking there day and night, every day. You know, I don't know. Are they businesses? Are they? I don't know. But
By electricity,
that's my point. Is that
still plenty enough to
people
go in
overtake the
town.
parking lot if it's left open like that. you know?
Right.
Too bad we didn't have an area where we could just make this parking lot, right?
Well,
And then people
yeah.
could just walk to the business.
Yeah, right.
That's what they're going to do.
I'm just saying.
Well, we have that. We have a town parking lot, but it's
Yeah.
is it enough parking? Probably not.
No.
you know?
That's what I mean.
And a lot of it's full with residents right now. Not for the
Right.
businesses, but it's the apartments nearby.
Yeah.
And there are tools. I mean, you see them more in larger communities, like I worked in Brockton, so we had TIFs, we had tax increment financing to encourage developers to basically pay their share of taxes over a certain period, so they're not all hit completely up front while they're trying to bring in tenants. I don't know if that's something Whitman's ever explored.
I don't know that we've ever done it, but I believe Hanover Crossing was.
Yeah, it's usually
Hanover is
you usually see it in larger communities that have larger concentrations of retail or commercial development, that sort of thing. And the other thing that is trying to make a comeback is 43D, streamlined permitting. So the state has, it's called Chapter 43D. It's basically a program that allows towns to opt into, or they allows towns to opt into a commitment to expedite how long it takes to issue permits for developers, as an incentive for developers to come in and purchase properties and develop. That program for a long time hasn't been very popular because towns just don't have a lot of capacity to commit to stuff like that, right? But I will say the Healy administration has appointed someone to basically revamp that entire program. Actually, I was invited to meet with them on why it's been unpopular, and I was like, "Well, no one can commit to getting permits that quickly."
What was it called?
43D,
43D?
expedited permitting. But all communities are eligible for that, and as the state ramps it up, I mean, yeah, it's
Whitman's actually pretty good on permitting, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I work
Well,
in a lot of
that's
towns
another
on the
reason.
South Shore, and you can reasonably get your permitting done in 6 months, even if that's
Yeah.
ZBA, planning board, conservation, if it's multiple approvals. Where I've had projects in Quincy and other towns
Yeah.
that the same thing took 2 years.
Yep.
And I think that's an issue in certain places. I don't think timing is much an issue
Yeah.
in my view, but
Yeah, I mean, and the program, that program tends to do well in larger communities, right?
Yeah.
Who are just kind of inundated with that sort of thing. And, you know, the current administration, they're really big on housing, right? So, you know, as the town decides to pursue grants, and we're a partner in that, you know, your applications they're going to be very competitive. You know, we're looking at mixed use housing and adding additional units. It's all very appealing to the administration, you know, with the affordability, the unaffordability of housing right now, and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of great things going on here, and it's got a lot of potential. And I know I've been talking a lot, but I also want to hear a little bit from you folks on what sort of things. What other things should we be looking at? I mean,
All the numbers in this, you think we'd be doing better than we are.
Right.
It's,
No,
it's,
It
it's
sounded like very positive.
yeah, it all
it's-
sounds like, why do we do?
when you work in data, that's
What is
like,
going
Well,
that's
we've
a,
been here 10 years, but
a common
Jeez.
thought you see when you look at data is you try to make sense. You scratch your head about, why isn't this the case, right? And
Right.
I think a lot of it, and we'll talk about this in the deliverable that we give to you folks, but I think you make the area much more appealing and attractive to people. I think people will be more willing to spend time down here. I mean, it's got everything. I mean, you can walk from your neighborhood, grab a bite to eat, or stop somewhere to purchase something, and then on your way back,
I tell
go to
people all the
Whitman Town
time,
Park and.
Unless you're running
I
on
think
the
Whitman's a
side
hidden
of-
gem, and I think people miss it a lot of times of what it has to offer downtown. And for a long time, especially before the T was here, I've been in real estate since the '80s. People, oh, I don't want to go to Whitman. I don't want to go to Whitman. Anywhere but Whitman. And it's like,
Because it's a weird place to
we
be.
had very high taxes when storage finally kicked in, and then that made it. We had a period where our tax rate was much higher, $2 or $3 higher than anyone around us. That people didn't
Oh, it
want
was
to come.
really high.
But it was the best thing we ever did. I mean, at the
Yeah.
time, I was just talking to the Conservation Commission and the town planner in Hanson today, that they would kill to have storage in the town, and it hurt for a long time. But it was the best thing that and the T station coming into Whitman were two of the biggest things. And since I've been in the business of happening here, and I think that it hurt paying for it, but it was a very positive thing in the long run of it. But
For sure.
yeah.
and it's centrally located. It's like literally right in the middle of the
I mean, there is no place that has. A lot of these towns don't have a really downtown. It's just
Weymouth has
little
100
sections.
squares.
And to have a downtown
Not one-
that's in
you
walking
get four.
distance to a
But yeah, well,
beautiful park, to the T station, it's really
Yeah,
nice.
Probably the closest to this is I could think of as Bridgewater Center.
Bridgewater Center would be
Yeah.
the closest I would
Right.
think to it.
I
also.
would say
Yeah.
that's the closest.
And if you drive through Bridgewater Center and look at what's there for businesses and what's vacant, Whitman is doing much
Yeah.
better.
They got
When
a
you're
lot.
pulling into Bridgewater Center,
I grew up
that
there.
whole right side where it was all it looks like it's getting developed now. Finally,
What is that, Steve? That's getting.
I think they're gonna do
that
something.
big lot.
That's
That's
big.
Where
getting developed.
Frontage used to be?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the town, they approved a mixed use project there. And they added so much fat into it that and the market started changing. Nope, they couldn't sell the project. We looked at it, and it's multiple buildings, mixed use, commercial, residential, parking across the street. They were requiring a lot of improvements for the whole street section there. And they were requiring a couple $100,000 payment to a veterans memorial for the town as part of the. It was, you started looking at this thing going,
It looks like somebody's doing something
Where
with it
was
now.
Oh, no, it's all
This
getting
with
built now.
Friendly?
It is, but I think they
Yeah,
I think they went back and they finally started thinning the thing out. This was approved 7-8 years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been sitting there that long and been on the market.
Yeah, it has. It's
I
been
think they
nice.
finally have gotten the town to make some leeway with it and make some modifications to the plans that they made it viable.
Was
to
it
do
town owned?
No,
No,
No.
it was privately owned.
they got to do something with that bowling alley too.
Yeah.
That would make a great
I bowled
nightclub.
I bowled in there as a kid. I'm just saying.
But even when you get up to the Rotary section of
Yep.
the town, there's a lot of vacancies
There
on
is.
both sides,
Yeah.
and that could use some of like the new development we have going on there. Would be ideal there. It would be ideal at Abington Center. It would be ideal at Rockland Center.
Right.
And I think that some of the other towns that I've met with say they wish they would have some of this stuff going on here, and we could use obviously some more of it. I know some people don't want more, but I look at it like when the family rates. When I was in high school in the early '80s, we had 300 something kids in our class. What is it now? 270, and that's with 30 years of new development of condos and houses and apartments. All that development has not resulted in us having 400 kids in the school system.
No, it hasn't.
It hasn't. But that's what the arguments that come in that everyone
People
thinks,
panic.
people aren't, when we were kids, people having 4 or 5 kids in a family. was
Family
nothing.
size is down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
That's-
that.
Now a lot of houses have 0, 1, 2.
My dad's one of 7. I'm one of 4, and I've got one
Yeah.
kid. Yeah.
Well, this
You
is
know what?
the
You can
thing.
see
I'm gonna,
Yeah.
On that point, I should note, and I didn't come prepared with it today, but so at OCPC, so we have 17 communities in our district that stretch from essentially Avon, if you're looking at a map, Avon, Stoughton, going southeast all the way down to Plymouth. And what we do, every 5 years, we develop an economic development strategy for all 17 communities, the entire region. And what we've seen is, to your point about the population, family size going down, populations in most communities in our area tend to peak around 2030, then they start to come down. And I believe Whitman is one of the exceptions. It seems, a lot of the communities that share a border with Brockton or that are closer to the urban areas tend to carry their population has tended not to decline as much as some other communities like Halifax and Hanson. Their numbers are coming way down. But I think Whitman is pretty sustainable. It's sort of leveled off, but I don't think it's. At least based on 5-year estimates, right? Those could change. But I would encourage folks, and I can send this to you guys. Our 5-year economic development strategy will officially be approved next month. So it talks about a lot of that stuff and a lot of that data. My point is, the reason I bring it up, with that happening in the next 5 years, Whitman is one of those communities I believe is an exception. It seems that the population here isn't declining as it is in some of the other neighboring communities, which is a great thing because as we invest in mixed-use development and housing, you don't have to worry that much about rental units not being occupied.
But what we need to do is bring business to
Right.
town. We're sorely lacking. We're a great community, a great bedroom community, a great place to live and raise a family, but there's no, other than a small amount of retail, there's no jobs in this town.
Yeah.
And
Now,
I think that comes down to 18.
It does, but I'll tell you, when was the last time you drove through the industrial park on Essex? There's so much land there, it's a frickin' dump. If this town got serious about making those business owners clean the place up or subdivide it, there's a lot of room for building and industrial and commerce coming into this town. A lot of acreage there. It just needs to be put to use.
The biggest problem in that location is the main factory out back, which was what was originally there. That and it has a lot of contamination issues there. So it becomes,
Essex is by Pond Street?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the same.
Yeah, so there's a road, Pond connects it all the way
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Essex all the way to Pond. But the Regal Shoe Factory, same thing. You know, it came up for sale. It ended up buying by an industrial company who's basically just keeping it going what it's doing, renting out spaces in the old factory because it has contamination that there's hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean up. It makes it not a viable development piece, and that's the same issue they have on the large factory, which is the biggest piece of the industrial park. It's very contaminated.
Is that the building that's, I guess, the farthest south?
Yeah.
Yeah, 66 Pond, which has been in the 40B conversation for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
But never
I mean,
quite.
just the idea of,
I think Route 18 is more viable for us for commercial. I hope something happens with the industrial park, because I know we made that part of our MBT overlay. It could end up apartments, could end up a lot of things down there. But I'd like to see it establish more businesses.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at Route 18 over the last 10 years, and Weymouth developed, widened the road.
Mm-hmm.
Now they just most recently widened it all the way down to Abington. And those areas that they've done that to, you're already seeing more commercial development, more businesses coming in. I'm hoping that at some point you see that come through Whitman and into East Bridgewater. I think Route 18, Peapod is going out.
on, yeah.
Yeah, they're gone.
What's
yeah.
going to happen with that space?
It's for rent.
I've actually been talking to the people involved in that, but it's because Rockland Trust really wants to get out of there now too, because Rockland Trust is, that was when they opened up that location.
Right.
They love Whitman. They're not going to leave Whitman, but
Crazy location.
that was a viable, plaza.
But there's no.
And then all of
Johnny Foodmaster, yeah.
Johnny Foodmaster,
gone,
and then all of a sudden, even since it's been Peapod, there's no foot traffic because
No.
it's all commercial stuff going out the back. They've wanted to leave for the last 5 years, but they've been tied into a lease, and that plaza just keeps getting more and more empty and
I
run
know.
down. There's storage backups that Rockland Trust is really aggravated because there's nothing being spent on it
my
to try and
gosh.
improve that. But that is a
That's
great
a
corner,
place.
and
Yeah.
I really feel like there's a whole commercial section of Route 18 that it's already widened where Stop and Shop is. But if that whole area was widened and we really pushed the locations on either side of the street, I think you could see that whole area get redeveloped from a strictly commercial point of view.
I mean, there are a lot of
Retail and
vacancies down there
offices.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the BFI building, but you've got contamination there. Then if you just go all the way down to the town line, there's on each side there's the insurance company that just moved out next to McDonald's. There's several vacant buildings along that
And
area.
the tree guy on the left, his lot is like 3-4 acres. That's a big lot
Yeah.
from a commercial point of view. I mean, you're probably looking at 5 acres where I always want to say Angelo's, but it was a Johnny Foodmaster.
Purity Supreme.
Yeah, that's going way back.
Yeah. But that's only 5. So there's some big pieces there that could be
Could be stuff.
very, very viable from a commercial point of view. And I feel like the more Weymouth, Abington, everything's getting developed, people are still continuing to kind of move this way. And I think you'll see some of those businesses say, hey, maybe this is a good spot for another location.
Right.
3 towns down, and let's just keep moving down the line, maybe all the way to Bridgewater at
What
some point.
about, so East Bridgewater has seen a boom, I think part of the sewer project there, but I guess what differentiates that side of the town line from the Whitman side? I'm looking at Nick, like maybe you have an answer here, but why has East Bridgewater seen the boom when we already had sewer with capacity?
Yeah, well, I think part of it is you have healthcare. You have the healthcare industry over there, and then south of that was it Compass Medical, and then south of that you have, I forget the name of the company. I believe it was a print company. You have essentially these large
Foxborough Company.
yeah, large companies. And they're because of the sewer, they're looking to expand. Whatever the company is, there's a lot of employees in there. And with sewer, it just allows them to sort of grow. They've been constrained by it, and they've been looking to expand for quite some time.
And they just expanded again. So they had their small community sewer system that they did down in the center where the high school is, and the shopping plaza. That all has a municipal sewer system. But then they just got it approved they went from Brockton on Winter Street and came through the woods all the way down to Route 18. So from the Whitman line, East Bridgewater now has sewer all the way to the Foxborough Company. So I think on their side of the line, you're going to see a lot going on. I mean, there's going to be.
That's how they had that 40B going up in there, and are they
But
tying into
it's
that?
It's also part of their MBTA zoning area, so
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be 40B, but it goes all the way back to Winter Street in Whitman.
Well, in our past meeting, we were talking about what are they doing? How is that development dealing with their sewer? And we were questioning whether or not they were going up into trying to tie into our line. And so I did a little research
they
in it,
tied
but
it
it didn't
to
look.
Broadway,
Yeah, I saw.
That line, if you drive down Winter Street, you can see it go all the way past.
I
the-
did exactly what I did.
Ties
And I saw it all dug up. I'm like, crap! They're going up to there. Yeah.
So one of the advantages they have a lot of space. They had a lot of space over there.
Yeah.
A lot of it was dry, right? I mean, we constantly.
Well, a lot of
dealing
it's
with
not.
it.
I was looking at the plans.
There is a
they
good-
did a really nice job working around, getting through the areas.
I forget how many easements there were. There's a whole bunch of them on private property, right? And they had a lot of the important parcels were owned by the town, which happened to help. But they have a lot of space. So that I believe it's the Compass Medical Building. For their septic, you should see how many acres the septic takes up. So
Yeah.
they're
I see all of
Huge
that.
all the
it's
way
it's
back
huge.
there.
It
Yeah,
opens
but
up so much space for them.
East Bridgewater's done a wonderful job too, getting all of that stuff on there. It's all on their website. I spent like 2 hours just going through their website and that whole development, all the different plans.
It's also
they were
a
all
huge
on there.
financial commitment from them. So
Yeah.
OCPC so we applied for a federal EDA grant to subsidize that project. So we got them $3 million. They had to put $5 million on the table.
Yeah,
So
I mean, look at all
that's
that.
serious money to commit to that. But they understand. They know the industry that they have. They have a concentration of medical, and they have some other. They have the the anchor, the project we leveraged for the grant was the big warehouse. I forget what it's.
In behind there.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anyone actually.
It's behind the old.
Yeah, the racetrack.
Still
Where the
empty.
racetrack. Yeah,
Where's the
Still
racetrack?
empty.
Was?
right. That's these big warehouses. You see the one in West Bridgewater by the highway, because the proximity our area, the distance from to Boston and to Rhode Island makes our market a great market for transportation and freight. And that sort of thing. So a lot of companies look at this area and they think it's a prime market to be able to, transport goods north and south, which is why I think it. And then we've had a lot of space at West Bridgewater. You see the one in East Bridgewater. I thought there'd be something. I thought they'd be in there by now.
And I don't think the positive things happening over the line in East Bridgewater is a negative for Whitman.
No.
I think that's going to entice people. The more they get developed, and we have Abington and everything on the side, it's going to help
Well,
the
the
whole
people are
section of
gonna be
18
coming.
come in between.
They keep saying that you have Abington here and
Is empty still.
East
too,
Bridgewater here
I
all
believe so.
developed. The people just not thinking about
I'm not
Whitman?
sure what's going on.
Just thinking, hey, that's a small little town. I'm not going there.
Yeah, I think it's.
I live in Quincy, so I always thought of Whitman as a small little town. That's why I moved here.
And East Bridgewater, has certain components already, but where they just did the storage, they have a lot of acreage that's going to be able to be developed now. There's nothing definite, but they now have the potential because of the storage to do it where they wouldn't have been able to do it for.
Yeah.
Bring back
But I just think that helps Route
Shopper's.
18 in general.
Yeah,
But you're right. I think
I'm
we need
just
to
not
attract
thinking
some
of here.
people.
Yeah,
They also have the opportunity. They have I'm talking years down the road. Should they continue along the same path? But they have a pump station at the high school. So if they were to continue with sewer going south on Route 18, they could connect with that. They could service the whole downtown with sewer.
Yeah.
I know they're talking about coming up with an additional sewer district east of. So it's all on the west side of Route 18. We're talking about extending that to the other side for residential, and there's some areas for commercial redevelopment over there too.
So all those condos that are across the street from that new development in East Bridgewater, did they not have sewer when those were built?
No, that's all septic system.
So they don't. So they're
They
not
don't
going to
have sewer
get.
anywhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not getting it on that side of the street, is what he's saying. It's all their sewer district is all on your right when you're heading towards East
It's all
Bridgewater.
concentrated for the commercial stuff.
At least we don't have that hurdle.
Yeah.
That's why, again, the downtown. I mean, and the town in general. I mean, to have sewer is a great thing. It's often overlooked because
And on Route 18, there's the part of the farm from Peaceful Meadows. Peaceful Meadows is on the right.
Yep.
On the left side of the road, that was all part of the family farm over there. That's under agreement right now.
Yeah.
They went in front of the Conservation Commission this week to agree on the line. It's about 19 acres. And my understanding, I know the engineer working on it, my understanding is that it's going to be a commercial industrial type development on that side of the streets, and that will be
Okay.
all in Whitman.
So the
I'm thinking
is the
growth.
waste company that's in there that just built all the
That's a
fences?
separate piece.
That's a separate piece. So is he own that, or is he
Behind-
just
He
rent?
owns it.
He owns that.
He owns the waste company.
That's
Right. That was part of the auction. So when they auctioned off Piece of Meadows,
he got that.
they auctioned two pieces on the left side of the road.
Yeah.
He got that one, which was it's tough because it was a two-family
Yep.
with two power line easements
Yeah.
and the main water Brockton line all going through the property. So it wasn't
Crazy.
Yeah.
much that you could build, but there's nothing stopping you putting cans on it.
Yeah.
So that's
Maybe
why
we sell plans on
he did that. you
Yeah,
know, and,
he needs bigger fences.
But right on the East Bridgewater line,
Ugly as sin.
on your left, there's a section of frontage there. That's what will be the entrance to all the acreage that's in behind them,
On
which is
the other
what
side with
Yeah.
the dog grooming place.
Ah.
in behind. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
like
all
right in
backs
here,
up
yeah.
towards like Harvard Street.
Yeah.
You'd be going
Yep,
up to
yep.
there.
Yeah.
It almost abuts your Harvard Court, right?
Their property actually abuts my project, yeah, but due to wetlands, there's nowhere near where we are. And they have a good amount of wetlands on it, but from talking to the people involved, it sounds like they probably have, 8 to 10 acres of usable land there with town storage. And like I said, my understanding is that they're looking at it from an industrial commercial point of view.
Wow.
I don't know exactly what they're proposing, but they got their wetland line agreed this week, so I'm sure you're going to hear.
So that's all in Whitman. You're saying.
It's all wetland.
I was
That's
just waiting for the other
excellent.
two boards.
Usually they
We signed a Form A on that about 2 or 3 years ago when they divided it up before the auction,
Oh yeah.
and stuff like that. So
So maybe something happens positive there. We'll see.
yeah, there's something coming down there. But I remember with storage containers that we were looking at. Somebody was going to be putting one of the stack storage containers for like shipping them out. For like
Yeah.
business trailers.
Well,
or
that's
something.
the guy that we're talking about.
Okay,
that bought
okay.
the front.
Yeah.
Yeah,
front
okay,
lot.
so-
Yeah,
that's
he's
what-
got
that's what I thought.
dumpsters basically.
Dumpsters and
Yeah, I
storage
think it's
office
dump-
trailers and
Yes.
Yeah, it is though. Yeah.
okay.
If you could just change and put the 18-wheelers in the back.
I just said make the fences bigger,
Or
yeah.
make the
Well, it's an
fences really
8-foot fence.
nice,
We couldn't
but,
go any
like,
higher than that.
No.
That was why I
not-
think
it's not tall
Kim-
enough.
Kimball recommended that from us to you to go higher on the fences, but they couldn't do it.
At least they got the fences up.
Right.
Okay. Trying to rein us back in. So
Yeah.
Sorry.
It could be going on for a long time.
keep going. This, in the first meeting, tried to agree to get to about an hour. We're a little over time, so I
Yeah.
won't hold us too much longer. But I think it was a valuable
I'm awake
conversation.
now.
Sure.
I just have one more question. I'm sorry. So, if we're talking about utilizing grants to do some of this stuff, as part of our development, do we have to come up with a game plan of how to improve our maps and those types of things that we talked about last meeting to be able to apply for some of these grants? And
It could help. I would say I wouldn't rank it as like the highest priority ever. I mean, I think those sort of things help, but I wouldn't say it makes or break.
Okay,
It makes
it's
or
not
breaks
like-
a grant.
okay.
And actually, one of the things I'd probably mention in closing too is in our deliverable that we give to you folks, we are going to include some funding strategies. So for all the things that we recommend, we'll try to link with the specific programs that you
Very
folks
good.
can apply for. I've already mentioned some of them. It's like site readiness, it's brownfields, it's MDI, which does a lot, which does the lighting, the plants, the painted crosswalks. And then there's MassDOT, there's streetscape stuff. You can bump outs,
Right.
stuff like that. So we can match those with the specific programs to give you an idea of where the town would go
That would be
to chase this
fantastic.
money.
It looked like
And
And
who
then-
would, who would be the best person or department to apply for those grants? Is it the town administrator's
Well,
office?
so in most towns it would be a town planner, I imagine, right?
but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can't even.
Well, and that's why we're working with
Okay.
the town, right? So we can take on that role.
you will help with them.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
We just can't help
And that's why, so we work closely together. So actually, we put in a really strong application for a master plan. So the Whitman master plan will be great. So we put in for that. We didn't get it. When you have a master plan, you can sort of you can pluck things from that in these individual sections about economic development, about open space, transportation, or whatever. and then you can go from there. So when you have a master plan, you can take the information from each of those sections and then chase funding from there. A lot of times when you go to apply for a grant, and let's say there's a town that's applying for an economic development strategy but hasn't updated their master plan in 15 years, they look at that and they're like,
old.
they're like,
I think I have it in
Right,
here.
it's like a fun thing is like, are we putting
Chicken
the cart
before the
before
egg.
the
Yeah, yeah,
horse here, and what should we really be starting with in order to capitalize on?
No, I think this is a great start. Like I said, $33,000 isn't like the most in the world for this project, but I think we're going to get a lot of good stuff out of this. I think you're going to get a lot of part of what we'll include is sites, priority sites for development or redevelopment, funding strategies for the recommendations that we include. So the infrastructure enhancements, the infrastructure improvements, the pedestrian connections, in between, these main corridors on South Ave. Like, we're going to recommend a lot of those things, and then we'll link them with specific programs. And I think that next year we'll work with you folks on reapplying for the master plan. The only reason we didn't get that, I don't know. The administration has been. They didn't give out a lot of grants this year, and if they did, it was usually one per town, and it had to do with specifically housing. So housing took precedent or priority over basically anything else.
Well, that's the housing production plan. Right?
Exactly. So one of the things Whitman did get was the housing production plan, and I would say next year we'll see what the state's financial situation is. But there's Whitman is been a while since up until recently that the town had pursued a lot of stuff. So the past 2 years when Whitman's applied for the one stop, I think we've always got something. The past 2 years, right?
Yeah, we had the 40R last year.
And it had been some time since the town had really applied for stuff, so they love to see that. So in a past life, when I was at Mass Development, I actually sat on the review committee for the one-stop grants. So I had to review all the applications from all these towns. And one of the things they're eager to look at is which towns haven't applied for stuff before. And they love to see when a town comes around. So Whitman, past 2 years now, has been there, and they're putting in for stuff. So, next year, maybe when the state's financial situation is a little bit more secure, Whitman is one of those communities that will be, at the top of the list for sure for having engaged One Stop within the past few years. Didn't get much last year because of the situation, and they'll probably Whitman will be a great candidate for grants for sure, particularly with this investment, because in the past a lot of this stuff wasn't going on. A lot of the stuff that you folks have been working on, those haven't been leveraged before in grants. And in an application, you're talking about housing. You can talk about all these additional units that have come to the downtown. That's going to look really appealing. It's going to look like a great thing to the administration when they're deciding on which applications get funded.
One last question.
Sure.
What is the time frame for the plan that you're putting together?
This project is due June 30th. My intention is to have it finished a little bit beforehand, so that there's time to review. We'll have some feedback, right? You guys can take a look at it and generate some feedback. So it's coming along great. So at this point, I think I have most of the existing conditions assessment done. I wanted to meet tonight, and I have some really great ideas about recommendations. I mean, some of it you can see. Some of it,
Great, thank you.
will be broken down long term, short term, right? A lot of things you can do for beautification efforts that are short term. You can chase, mass downtown mass program. What's it called? MDI, Massachusetts Downtown Initiative. But then, something like street lights. That's a larger investment for underground conduits and stuff. But I'll lay it all out for you folks. And one of the things I didn't ask about, which we could, if we still have time, the vacant elementary school. On the end, I know there's an educational state restriction there.
So right now that is waiting on action from the select board.
Okay.
On what direction we would like our town council to push.
Yeah.
So the restriction is that it has to be used for educational purpose. The lawyers believe that purpose could be sell it and use that funding toward the new middle school or some educational expense.
Okay.
But if we want if we want to retain the property and use it for some other town purpose,
Yeah.
we need to appeal to land court.
I got you.
And ideally get the attorney general's office to sign on to our appeal.
Yeah.
that
So-
it was a school for 50 years, and now we'd like to do something else with it.
I got you.
If you
So
make
for
it housing, the state will be psyched.
Right?
well, I was gonna say
Yeah.
for purposes of economic development, we will explore that as a potential site for economic development, revenue generation, and business and stuff. Understanding that the green space is very nice, but we'll.
Something-year-old trees on that
Just because
property.
just because we're proposing something doesn't mean these are about options and different opportunities to explore. So that's obviously one of the areas. But yeah, so we're happy to work on this with you, and this will also be a good precedent for other types of downtown projects. I think we can do. But this will be. I mean, if we complete this and then Whitman is successful with its master plan, let's say next year. I mean, that'll be a really great thing. You guys will have a solid blueprint from where to go.
Can you email this file to Justin?
Yeah,
so
absolutely, yeah.
This will end up in my recycling, but if I get it electronically, I'll have it forever.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay, anything else for Nick?
No, I think so.
That was great.
Certainly
Thank you.
welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you. That was
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah,
Pleasure to meet
absolutely.
you.
All right, I'll touch on just a couple last items. My plan for a January meeting was to invite Jennifer Bernard, who's the Southeast Regional Director of Mass Office of Business Development. She's not returned my emails yet, so
Okay.
we'll not plan on that right away.
February.
Yeah, potentially February. I'll reach out again. But I listed a couple of other potential topics we could look at, and Nick mentioned, expedited permitting 43D. I know very little about it, but it's something other towns have pursued. Town-owned properties is something that the select board needs to sort of start acting on.
You've got something in your agenda on Monday night for
One of them coming up.
Yeah.
I've reminded the chair and town administrator that there's like 6 or 7 others that
Yeah.
just sitting on. So, and then solar and battery pilots and data centers we talked about as sort of alternative economic development strategies at the last meeting. So I think it's something worth exploring. And actually did not list it, but I think a SWOT analysis would be probably a successful use of an hour if we want to sit down and try and work through that. I don't know if anyone has training in that, but
I think along with town-owned properties,
I did one every year.
perfect. Yeah,
I think along with town-owned properties, you should add vacant properties.
you're right because like the
Yeah, the
BFI is not a town-owned property.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously the bank property and
Yeah.
those type of things. I mean,
Plaza.
Yeah, the Peapod now.
yeah, that because there's a ton. I mean, I was just going right up 18. Steve was talking. Just there's so many vacant properties right up 18.
It's true.
It's
So then the people on the other side of 18 up to 27 that can't walk uptown, like us, John. Well, I guess we could, but it would be a little bit of a walk.
Not tonight when it's
Yeah.
cold and windy.
No,
I'm an hour from the T the other way, so yeah, it'd be a hike. A mile, not an hour.
yeah. So
Um,
that's why parking's good.
I just probably maybe for another time, but extended bat service. Maybe that would be did
Yeah.
anyone ever ask you about that, extending bat service in the
Did
winter?
they not
That's a
come
good
here?
idea.
No,
Yeah.
then
Huh. I thought they did. Why don't
no, I think they will come like
for medical and senior.
Yeah,
you know,
ride.
if you're
But
handicapped.
not regular
dial
events,
that,
yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
any kind of
I think
Yeah, no, that's a great
MBTA would
point.
come down 18, maybe.
pardon.
Would the MBTA come down 18? The T-bus?
Stop in Weymouth, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
no,
figure out how do we get
Oh,
more
no, yeah,
people.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the bats. They come up this way all the time. They're going to,
Yeah.
down on this side of Brockton to all the shops
East
down
side,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. But if there was a way to get just like a shuttle from Washington Street
Yeah.
just down to the train station in the morning and in the evening,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
that would be
Need
great
the
for
old
people.
Charlie's back in the
Yeah.
center.
Right?
We do.
Yeah.
But you're right.
The old
It's,
Hudson bus.
well, I know one of the things with the improvement that's going from Commercial Street up to South Avenue is there's going to be bike lanes and everything
Yeah,
as
yeah.
part of the program.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to
Sidewalks
actually
and-
extend down this way or not, but getting people to the T station, it's if you're healthy enough, it's a nice easy walk, but not everybody.
I know one of Nick's colleagues is working on a potential bike path route up Commercial Street that connects into East Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Too
Way
bad we
over,
couldn't
yeah.
Yep.
hook to
Cambridge
the
and Somerville
rail
are trying to
trail.
take theirs out
Yes, and
I know.
because they've had so many issues with these bike lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That rail trail is really cool.
Yeah, they're taking entire lanes of traffic
Yeah.
and turning it into a bike lane. And
I have them punched on the side of my truck all the time. I can't see you. Yeah, big box truck.
Yeah, I mean those recreational assets too. They play a huge role with economic development, right? I mean, this just increases quality of life, desire to live there, right?
Something I've never figured out. As far as I know, I think we've only got bike racks at the train station and the library, and like it's a super bikeable community. Not that we have bike lanes,
Yeah,
No,
it's
but
it's
it
not that
is.
big. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
There is no like bike path in town or anything like that, really.
I mean, Colebrook Boulevard is effectively a community path, and then
There's a lot of grants for
Yeah, the sign
kind of small for a bike.
58
it's small. Yeah.
telling you give
Yeah.
4 feet. You gotta
Camp
be on
Alice
the lane.
Carton would be a perfect space for a
Great.
bike. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've applied one of the one-stop grants we applied for, or the long shot. We don't think we're going to get this, but put it in there anyway. Was to pave the sewer easement across from Colebrook Boulevard and connect it to Holden.
Yeah.
And so you just have it's like a quarter of a mile paved, town-owned easement, but get
Next
these cut through. Whatever.
CPC could buy all of that.
All right. Next meeting date, I think it's the last one. Let's see. Yeah, I'll figure if Jennifer doesn't get back to me, I'll pick one of the topics and Dick, I can maybe ask you to for a SWOT analysis for the committee.
I will be in Disney from January 7th to January 14th. My daughter's running the marathon, and it's a big family event, and everybody's going.
My
cousin
daughter,
is too.
my wife did that a few years ago. They had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids, the grandchildren, the whole.
My cousin's running that this year too.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding. I'm gonna be there.
So I think this room is occupied at this time on the 14th. So we'll. I don't know. This the
It'd be the
15th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
15.
So yeah, Heidi won't be here for the.
I'll be back.
You'll be back for the 15th.
Yep.
Does that
I'm
work for
coming back the
everybody else?
14th.
That's fine.
I'll be back.
Okay.
As of now.
Yeah, I know, right? Let's see. Yeah, I'll book this room again for January 15th. That works out well for me because I think the following 2 weekends I'm out of here.
All right.
All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Right.
Thanks, everybody.